done so good at hanging in there all day. Hopefully we can get these last chairs filled up. But just so that you're awake for the rest of the session here, we're going to mix things up a little bit, and I'm very happy to be able to introduce to you Juan Gobi, representing Meta today. We're going to talk about how it fits into the ecosystem. I thought with all the excitement we've had around how in the next year we're going to be building all of this conversational communication stuff, we really should talk to the people that are almost certainly leading this in the world. And so, Juan, it's great to have you here.
Great being here.
Have a seat. All right. So, we usually don't talk about WhatsApp that much. We did get into it once we started talking about RCS in the last session. And so I had to do a little bit of thinking of, all right, how much do people really understand this? So I opened up my phone to look at my WhatsApp app to figure out, all right, what business messaging do I have in my WhatsApp app? And I thought it'd be especially worth noting that I only found one business that was completely registered in my WhatsApp feed for this whole year, which was MEF. How about that?
Just the one.
Yeah. So it's appropriate that we're here. But I know that a lot of people, while I know they would know about WhatsApp in general, we don't interact with it that much comparatively in North America. And so what I would like to ask you to do is just start with what is WhatsApp business messaging, okay? So that people can, so we make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then kind of get into, well, what's the state of things in North America?
Yeah.
And where are we right now when we look at Canada and the rest of North America?
Good one. Thank you for having me. I think that whenever I think of WhatsApp Business as a solution, which is basically a product that we launched in 2018, I always tend to think of it as an evolution of something that was naturally and organically happening in many parts of the world where we have huge penetration in terms of being the leading messaging app. So in 2018, we identified that there was a lot of communication between people and businesses through the app, yet the tools that we were providing to these people were not there yet. And when talking about people, I'm talking about business owners. And when talking about business owners, I'm talking about any kind of business. Small, medium businesses, but also large enterprises. So in 2018, we developed WhatsApp Business, which has two different versions. One is more oriented to SMBs, which is basically an app that will allow you to connect with your customers through multiple devices. There's some features that will allow you to have your own catalog and some commerce-oriented tools, and then the API that is a more sophisticated integration for large enterprises to conduct business with WhatsApp. And I said at the beginning that this was an organic transition, and maybe that's not clearly the reality in North America, but if there's any WhatsApp users in the room here, I'm from Argentina. I lived many years in Peru supporting Meta and their business there, and everything happens through WhatsApp. You use WhatsApp to connect with your friends and family, but if you want to order a pizza, WhatsApp is your option. If you want to book an appointment with the doctor, people will send you a message through WhatsApp. If you want to get a mortgage, it's going to happen through WhatsApp. And if you want to buy a car, it will happen through WhatsApp. So the transition was kind of organic, but also we decided to come up with this product that is, in my opinion, very sophisticated for any type of business. And when thinking of WhatsApp as a whole, of course, I think you guys mentioned it here. We are the leading messaging application in the world. That means that in most countries, WhatsApp is being used by most people to communicate with friends, families, and businesses. But it's true that if we compare the reality of Latin America, Europe, Asia, Africa with North America, we're not quite there yet. Being responsible for the Canadian market, I'm still very bullish on what's happening. Even though we have a very solid penetration here in Canada, I'm very bullish on the newcomer market for WhatsApp. Every year, as you might know, we have more than 500,000 new immigrants coming into Canada. And when you assess the top 10 list, excluding China and the US, the rest of the 8 countries are all WhatsApp first countries. When I talk about WhatsApp first countries, please use the example of Argentina or Peru that I was talking about. It's basically living and breathing through WhatsApp. So I think that's a huge opportunity. The same goes for the US. We might not have a dominant position there, but if you think of the most downloaded apps, both for Android and iOS, WhatsApp is always on the top 5, and it's been a solid years of us being in that position. When thinking of the younger demographics and the youth, people between 18 to 35, among these people, half of them uses WhatsApp and they have downloaded WhatsApp. And then to me, the most relevant use case is Hispanics, US people. We're talking about 64 million people in the US. That's 20% of the total population. And a population that represents the 6th largest economy in the world, even bigger than Brazil. They are constantly on WhatsApp. So I think that the opportunity for us in North America is huge. Sometimes we feel that we're laggards in this game compared to other regions, but as I said, I'm very bullish, and I think that we have a very bright future ahead.
Yeah, well, excellent. I should have mentioned that Juan's been involved in this for over 20 years in this space, and he's worked for Meta for 8 years. And what he mostly does, if I'm understanding it right, is work with a lot of the operator partners that they have, who are, very much looking at all the demographics that they have across their base, because this is a very real part of messaging communication that we have, even in North America. And yet, quite frankly, for a lot of us in the room, we kind of only look at the part that we're most associated with, right?
Yeah.
So focusing on North America and Canada, why would you say WhatsApp is a really good option for businesses in North America, and what differentiates it from the other things that are available?
Yeah. Well, I think it would be hard to just isolate those benefits for North America. I think those apply for any kind of business around the world. And I've heard most of you talking about conversational commerce and this idea that I advocate for, that people want to be connected with businesses the way they decide to be connected on. And also people really like to be reached at the precise moment that they want to connect with a business, not all the time, not in an invasive way. But I think that WhatsApp as a channel offers that. We do have the organic, high engagement that people are generating organically, like talking with friends and family. And I think business, they can land very softly into those conversations to generate business and high value cases with ROI. But when thinking of what I do on a daily basis, my job is usually to try to recommend my clients the best strategies and the best ways to diversify their marketing strategies and find new ways to find these clients, to find these potential new customers, or sustain their customer base, or do cross-sell, upsell activities, whatever it is. My constant advice, since I started with this company in 2016, and that still holds for today, is try to find where your customers are. And I think that for most of them in Canada now going locally, the answer is WhatsApp, and it's a big untapped opportunity based out on the KPIs that I shared with you. When thinking of the performance of WhatsApp, we know we have conducted studies 2022, 2023. There's many numbers that will validate that our open rate, click-through ratio, and conversion rate is way higher than SMS and email. So we really feel that there's a huge opportunity there. For the Canadian market, not only thinking of the high penetration that we have overall across or among the Canadian population, but also going back to this idea of newcomers. I think that the newcomer business is critical for multiple verticals, not only the telcos, financial services, retailers. There's a lot to be done there, and there's a lot of needs to be satisfied. So I think that WhatsApp can be a huge ally. But when thinking specifically of features that we provide as a platform, starting off with privacy and the end-to-end encryption, I think that that's critical for most businesses. but you guys were, you were mentioning the verification, and I think some of you mentioned the importance of validating the identity of a business whenever connecting with a customer. I think that we provide a very standard way of verifying our businesses with our green check mark. When thinking of the user experience, I think that something that is obvious of WhatsApp is the seamless experience and user interaction that we provide through the buttons that we've created, the templates that we've created. And again, I'm gonna rely on the WhatsApp users in the room to validate that it's a very easy way to communicate. Now, removing my Meta t-shirt and talking as Juan, I can validate that it's my preferred messaging platform to connect with any type of business because of how easy and intuitive it is. But then I also heard somebody mentioning rich media, and I think that that's another element that we provide. You can share videos, images, voice notes, so that makes the conversation a really, the interaction a really two-way conversation. I think that that's probably the biggest shift that I identify in the industry, from one-way to two-way conversation, and I think that WhatsApp right now offers a very easy way to transition for companies that might be struggling. It's like even those being SMBs or large companies, I think it's an easy shift. Just to mention the two advertising solutions that we have for WhatsApp. We have click to WhatsApp ads, which is basically seeing an ad on Facebook, Instagram Messenger, clicking on it and being directed to a WhatsApp conversation. But also we have marketing messages, which is allowing companies to upload contact lists and proactively send message to these customers with a price. With those, whenever you have proper consent, which is something that we really stress our clients to do, the spam rate and the block rate, it's way lower than any other channel, and we have done a lot of analysis around that. So that's another element to highlight. Whenever you have the consent to do marketing messages, it's day and night compared to the block rate or spam rate that we would get on SMS and email. So I think that there's multiple benefits and multiple benefits that companies should explore whenever thinking of jumping into WhatsApp, even when the use cases in Canada or the US are not as relevant as what we have in Europe or Latin America.
All right, well, very good. I think, Juan, you make a really good point. Alexa did a good job of highlighting earlier that we want to communicate with businesses in the same app that we communicate with our friends and our relatives and so on, right?
If we
and
can.
Yet we often don't think as much about the fairly large percentage of people even that we do have in North America that use WhatsApp as their primary app. And clearly from a business perspective, those people would prefer to have a conversation with the business in WhatsApp. And I think it's an important point for all of us to understand and listen to really carefully. So that's great. Are there some particular use cases that really drive businesses to make this move? I'm sure there's a hurdle like there is for all kinds of conversational communication, but a use case or two that you'd kind of highlight as ideal?
Yeah, I tend to say that the use case in Canada will be more of a pioneer use case, or even in the US. I always lead with stats of what's happening in mature countries. Our exchange between people and businesses on messages on WhatsApp has doubled from 2022 to 2023. Markets, very mature markets such as India, 60% of people will exchange a message with a business every week out of the total WhatsApp base.
Wow.
In Brazil, the growth of that exchange on a daily basis was of 40%, and in Mexico of 30%. So you see very mature market still growing. I think that the opportunity in Canada and the US, it's just about to explode. Yeah. So okay. going on use cases, we have done some pilots. We don't have the results because most of them are still running, but Volvo, the car company, released the new SUV. I think the name is EX30. I'm not a huge fan of cars, but of course there was a lot of appetite from their customer base to understand what was about this new iteration and this new pivot to electric cars that the company was taking on, and they created a chatbot for people to ask questions through this conversation on what about the battery or the length, support, what about the car. There was huge increase in brand affinity, and also that chatbot helped sell a lot of cars. On the other end, we had Wendy's and Domino's, two CPG fast food companies, releasing proactive messages on WhatsApp to the Hispanic base audience in the US, reminding them of their weekly offers, the weekly menu offers. And also with those pilots, we saw tremendous traction, amazing open rate, amazing click rate, and at the end of it, there are more sales. So we really feel that the opportunity is there. I'm hoping to probably next year be here and share some Canadian use cases.
All right, very good. Well, I have to ask, with the recent announcement by Apple for RCS, okay, how do you see that impacting WhatsApp and kind of the space you live in?
I definitely expect an impact. I'm not sure if it's going to be positive or not, but I feel like regardless of my perception or forecast, what's important to note is that we always welcome competition in all of the products that we release in market, and that is the history of Facebook back then and Meta now. I truly believe that the core, the power of WhatsApp has always been the organic, high engagement that we generate, and I think that we have done that. We have achieved that by protecting the product. Probably you know that when we bought the company, we took a lot of time, and we're still taking a lot of time to monetize over this platform, and I think it's just because we all understand that the power of the platform relies on how much people value that organic, safe space, private space, and curated space to connect with friends, family, and businesses. And I think that that is the core of our business, and we're going to keep on maintaining that. But I also believe that, as I said, two-way communication, conversational commerce to me is the future. And I know that right now, the leading business messaging strategy is one way. So I think that the more we start embracing two-way communication, the more there's going to be a shift to platforms that allow that. So I think that it's going to be beneficial for all of us, but I totally see a benefit for WhatsApp in this ecosystem. So I'm very excited for what's coming.
Yeah, well, this is awesome. And I think one of the things that you've touched on, a lot of the things that we are often talking about, things you have to do. You've got to have security. You've got to make sure that people aren't getting spam.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that they want to engage with, and all of these things. And then just maybe to finish this off, I very much agree that the biggest hurdle that we really have is for the average person, the average business, to be seeing conversational, rich media, personalized communication going on, right, in a business to consumer environment. And as they see it on WhatsApp, as they see it with RCS, and I think all of this is going to build, and we're going to see everything from the large brands that can get
100%.
Huge benefit, like Volvo and other big brands that we all recognize, all the way down to Sarah advocating for all the SMBs and everyone really being part of that, right? So I think that we all have a lot of the same goals here, is to really bring this new model to fruition in North America, even though we've had all these obstacles in so many ways. And in that way, we can build a total ecosystem that will be stronger for all of us in our businesses, and obviously for consumers as well. So I think it's an exciting story.
100% agree.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making time in your day.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.